Hey, brother!
I don't belong here!
God, I love Forkie. He's totally redefined what it means to be trash. Today, we discuss how Toy Story 4 fits into the Pixar Theory. Hey, brother! That was new, and I loved it. How do toys come to life? How do they know what they're supposed to be?
You are a toy!
These are questions people have had all the way back to the first Toy Story when it hit theaters in 1995. And the Pixar Theory has always had its own reasoning to answer these questions, and Toy Story 4 all but confirms it. But before we get to that, let's just establish where Toy Story fits on the grand Pixar timeline. Which, by the way, if you don't know what the Pixar Theory is, it is the idea that every Pixar movie exists in the same universe on one giant timeline. And I recommend, if you don't know at all what it is, that maybe you go check out this video before you finish watching this one. On that timeline, though, all of the Toy Story movies take place roughly during the year they actually came out to the public, which would put them after The Incredibles, but before Up. During this time period on the timeline, humans are at their peak, and BNL, the mega corporation run by machines and artificial intelligence, are on the rise after the invention of the Omnidroid. You can see Buzz's batteries in Toy Story 3 are produced by BNL, and they're also the company responsible for evicting Carl in Up. But that's not super important, it just gives you a good idea where Toy Story fits in the overall timeline. What is important, though, is how Toy Story 4 confirms how the toys come to life, how they know what they are, and how the cars come to life.
Wow.
Yeah, buckle up your driverless cars, we are going on a weird adventure. First, let's tackle how the toys know what they are. Why does Buzz think he's a space ranger when the rest of the toys just know they're toys?
I'm from Play School. And I'm from Mattel.
And the answer is branding. Buzz is falling victim to a type of placebo branding that comes from being based on a real character.
You actually think you're the Buzz Lightyear?
But really, Buzz is only one step further than the rest of the toys. Like, they might know they're toys, but they continue to act like the creatures they represent. Slink wags his tail when he's pet, Jessie acts like a cowgirl, Bullseye like a horse, Rex tries in vain to be a dinosaur.
Ah! Were you scared? Tell me honestly.
The difference is they are specifically made to be toys, whereas Buzz is made to represent a real character. Right out of the box, his personality is exactly what the company wants it to be. His opening monologue is written word for word on his box.
As a member of the elite Universe Protection Unit of the Space Ranger Corps.
Which brings us to Toy Story 4 and Forkie, a different character who's suffering a different kind of identity crisis, and yet it's pretty much the exact same one as before. Forkie believes he is trash because, as Woody tells us in the movie, he was made from trash.
I was made for soup, salad, maybe chili, and then the trash.
There's actually a really great scene in the movie where Woody and Forkie are walking down the road together and bond over the hilarious idea that Buzz really thought he was on a different planet. The irony being, of course, that Forkie thinks he's trash. And yet, despite believing that they are trash or a space ranger, they are able to come to life like the rest of the toys because, in the end, they are actually toys. And what makes them toys is the love and attention of a child. But that's not what brings them to life. What brings them to life, as is the case with so many things in the Pixar universe, is human memory. It's the energy source that keeps Bing Bong alive until he's finally forgotten. It's what keeps the dead alive in Coco until they are forgotten. It's literally what they're harvesting in Monsters Incorporated. Human memory. Basically, as long as there is a person with a memory of that toy, it can continue to come to life. And it really doesn't take much, although it would seem that the more memory orbs there are, the healthier the toy is. Wheezy, for example, in Toy Story 2 is on the brink of being forgotten, and as a result is starting to get sick, very similar to Hector, who keeps falling apart in Coco. Regardless though, both Buzz and Forkie are able to overcome their initial identity crisis and ascend to the level of their peers where they accept their lot in life as toys. toys. But that brings us to Woody and his role in Toy Story 4, because unlike the rest of the toys, he seems to have ascended to an even higher plane of existence. Early on in Toy Story 4, a very dumbed down Buzz asks Woody about his inner voice, apparently not understanding the idea of a conscience.
Somewhere in that pat of stuffing is a toy who taught me that life's only worth living if you're being loved by a kid.
Alright, yeah, cool, I guess we'll just forget about that. And despite Woody's explanation, Buzz continues to think what he actually meant was the words coming from the voice box inside of Woody, and proceeds for the rest of the movie to not think for himself, but instead respond to the random voice commands on his buttons. With alarmingly successful results, I might add. Either way though, this scene eventually pays out at the end of the movie, where Woody eventually gives up his voice box to Gabby Gabby and continues on without it. This is a big move. Buzz literally spends the entire movie listening to his inner programming, while in contrast, Woody eventually decides to give his up in order to lead a life outside of what a normal toy would be expected to do. But Jay, I hear you asking, didn't you say something about this explaining cars? Indeed I did! Okay, so the current explanation for how the cars come to life and exist in a carified version of our world that's definitely our world but looks very different is as follows. The cars are coming to life in pretty much the same way the toys are via human memory, with just a few key differences. Obviously, they're not coming to life while the humans are still around, and because they're cars and not toys, they still need fuel and oil and stuff to run. Also, unlike toys, which are designed as something that's supposed to be brought to life by a child's imagination, whatever form that may take, cowgirl, horse, dinosaur, dog that's part slinky, cars are not that way and thus do not have a pre-existing personality. Instead, cars take on the personality of the last person who owned them, including their memories, and view the world through a carified lens. Wow. Now, there are plenty of real world examples of who the old owners of the cars might have been, full video by clicking the card, but in universe, there is just one tiny clue. And it is this little band-aid in Finding Dory supporting Lightning McQueen. This suggests that the real human Lightning McQueen must have been alive during the time of Finding Dory, and his old car is the one that's waking up so many years later in the Cars movies. Plus, you can also see Doc Hudson in The Incredibles, which sort of makes sense. In the future in the Cars, he would have been around about that much earlier than Lightning. And while I agree a single band-aid is not much to go on in terms of explaining an entire race of cars, thankfully now we also have Woody and Toy Story 4. Because Woody, I think, might be car number one, patient zero, if you will, in terms of non-humans coming to life with the personality of their former owner. But so then you may be asking, which human is Woody representing? Bonnie? No. We all know that Woody's true owner is Andy. And Toy Story 4 makes this pretty crystal clear too, despite the fact that Woody spends a majority of the movie doing everything he can for Bonnie. He has this one Freudian slip when he's talking to Forkie, and instead of saying Bonnie, mistakenly says Andy, and Forkie's all like, who's Andy? Yes, Andy, the one human who must be supplying Woody with so many happy memories that he's unlikely to ever fade from existence as long as Andy continues to be alive. Woody is the one toy he almost couldn't give up. In fact, he didn't even intend to give him up, but he does. Andy, in his final moment of on-screen growth, passes his toys onto another because he knows toys need kids to be properly enjoyed. And what does Woody ultimately decide is the only thing greater than being a toy for a kid? Giving toys to kids, knowing that kids need toys and toys need kids. Woody is Andy. The scene where Andy gives him away is just so powerful, and it accomplishes three major things. First, it just always makes me cry.
There's a snake in my boot.
But I think the act of giving up this toy is so emotionally hard for Andy because he has ingrained his lifelong toy into a lifelong memory. But it also demonstrates a key gesture we can use to identify how Andy's personality has permanently ingrained itself in Woody. Woody, who by the end of Toy Story 4 has lived arguably the most noble life a toy can live. Andy is Woody, and Woody is the beginning. Patient Zero, the forerunner of the cars. And that is how Toy Story 4 fits into the Pixar theory. Also, if you guys want to check out how our new intro was made, you can go check out our buddies Rod and Vince's channel, RKVC. It is super interesting, link in the description. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Please remember to like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Pixar theory action from us. If you want to see the full Pixar theory, we recommend you check out this video here, or if you want to see our review of Toy Story 4, I recommend you check out this video right here. But Ben, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you in another life, brother.